Ambassador Dae-hyun stood before the Galactic Council with the same patience he had shown for 30 years. His gray hair and tired eyes told the story of decades spent trying to earn respect for humanity. Today would be different. Today would be the last time. The council chamber was massive, built to hold representatives from 200 alien species. Floating platforms carried the most powerful beings in the galaxy. At the highest level sat High Arbiter Velthar of the Velnari Empire. His 4 eyes looked down at Dae-hyun with barely hidden contempt. "Honored members of the council," Dae-hyun began, his voice calm and measured. "I present again humanity's request for equal voting rights. We have served this council for 73 years. We have given our technology, our soldiers, and our lives." A clicking sound filled the chamber. The insect-like Counselor Thrix was laughing. Others joined in. The sound echoed off the crystal walls. Dae-hyun continued as if he heard nothing. "Human engineers maintain 60% of the stations in this sector. Human doctors created cures for 17 major diseases. Human peacekeepers died protecting borders that are not our own. We ask only for the same rights you grant to other species." High Arbiter Velthar leaned forward. His translator made his words sound like silk over steel. "Ambassador, your species has value. We acknowledge this. You are excellent workers. Your people are willing to take risks that others will not. But leadership requires wisdom that comes with age. Your species has been among the stars for less than a century. We have built civilizations for 10,000 years. Then let our work speak for us," Dae-hyun replied. Behind him, Captain Yuna stood at attention, her hand near her weapon. She had heard these insults before. They all had. "Your work is adequate," Velthar said, waving a dismissive hand. "But this council makes decisions that affect trillions. We cannot give such power to useful primitives, no matter how eager they are to please." The chamber filled with laughter again. Dae-hyun felt Captain Yuna tense behind him. He raised a hand slightly, telling her to remain calm. "I see," Dae-hyun said quietly. "Then perhaps you will hear our other matter. The border conflict between the Krenth and Velnari. Human casualties have been—" Yes, Velthar interrupted. "Tragic but necessary. Speaking of which, we require 30 more human warships for the border patrol. The humans are quite good at this work. Your species breeds quickly and seems less concerned about casualties than others." Something cold settled in Dae-hyun's chest. 73 years. 73 years of this. He thought of the memorial on Earth. 50,000 names carved in black stone. Human soldiers who died keeping peace between aliens who despised them. Human engineers who suffocated when stations failed. Human doctors who caught alien diseases while searching for cures. "Ambassador?" Velthar's voice dripped false concern. "You seem troubled. Surely humanity is honored to serve the greater galactic good?" Dae-hyun looked around the chamber. 200 species. Some looked uncomfortable. Most looked bored. A few looked amused. None looked like they saw him as an equal. He thought of his predecessor, Ambassador Min-Su, who had died believing the council would eventually accept humanity. He thought of the young diplomats who still believed things would change. He thought of his own daughter, asking why Daddy had to work with people who hated him. The answer had always been the same. Because someone has to try. Because maybe tomorrow will be different. But tomorrow was never different. Dae-hyun gathered his data pads slowly. He straightened his jacket. Behind him, Captain Yuna whispered urgently, "Sir?" "Captain." "Gather our delegation," Dae-hyun said clearly. His voice carried through the chamber. The laughter stopped. Silence fell like snow. "Ambassador?" Counselor Thrix clicked forward. "We have not dismissed you." "No," Dae-hyun agreed. "You have not." "But I am leaving anyway." He turned to face the full council. Every eye was on him now. Good. Let them remember this. 73 years ago, humanity joined this council with hope. We believed in the promise of cooperation among the stars. We gave everything you asked, our ships, our soldiers, our knowledge, our lives. We asked only for respect in return. You have our respect, Velthar said, but his tone suggested otherwise. You call us useful primitives, Daehyun said. You laugh at our requests. You send our children to die in your wars while denying us any voice in whether those wars should be fought. This is not respect. This is exploitation. Ambassador, you are being emotional, Velthar said. Very human of you. Sit down. We will discuss the warships you will provide. No, Daehyun said simply. We will not. He picked up his case. Captain Yuna moved to his side. Behind them, the entire human delegation stood as one. If you walk out of this chamber, Velthar warned, you are walking out of the Galactic Council. Do you understand what that means? Humanity will lose all privileges, all protections. Daehyun smiled for the first time in the meeting. It was not a happy smile. High Arbiter, we have no privileges. We only have obligations. As for protection, we have always protected ourselves. You need us far more than we need you. You simply have not realized it yet. You are bluffing, Velthar said. But there was uncertainty in his voice now. I do not bluff, Daehyun said. Effective immediately, humanity withdraws from the Galactic Council. We will remove our people from your stations, our ships from your patrols, our engineers from your infrastructure, and our doctors from your hospitals. We are done. He turned and walked toward the exit. Captain Yuna and the delegation followed. The chamber erupted in noise behind them. Voices shouting, demanding they return. Velthar calling it treason. Daehyun did not look back. His spine was straight, his head high. For the first time in 30 years, he felt light, free. Captain Yuna caught up with him in the corridor. Sir, did we just quit the council? Yes, Captain. They are going to be angry. Yes. They might threaten us. Let them. Sir, Yuna said, and now she was smiling too. What happens now? Daehyun thought about Earth, about going home, about a galaxy that was about to learn a very expensive lesson. Now, Captain, we go home, and we let them figure out how to survive without us. Director Yoon-sik watched the departure schedules scroll across his screen. 300 stations, 42 colonies, 15 joint military operations. Every location had humans who needed to come home. Status? He asked. His assistant, a young officer named Ji-won, pulled up the reports. First wave is already moving. Commercial vessels are leaving alien ports. Military ships are withdrawing from patrol zones. Medical teams are packing their research. Resistance? Some alien administrators are trying to block departures. They are suddenly very concerned about contract obligations they ignored for decades. Hyun-sik allowed himself a small smile. Tell our people to be polite but firm. Anyone who tries to stop a human departure gets added to the permanent ban list. On Station Tarnak 7, Engineer Ki-won powered down the reactor modification he had installed 8 years ago. The station administrator, a blob-like creature named Glorth, floated anxiously nearby. But Engineer Ki-won, this system is critical. You cannot simply leave. Ki-won kept working, his hands steady as he removed the custom neural interface. This is human technology. I am taking it with me. Your original systems will function. They will just be less efficient. Less efficient? This station supports 3 million beings. Then perhaps you should have treated the engineer who kept it running with more respect. Ki-won pulled the last component free. The lights flickered. Alarms began to sound. Glorth turned purple with distress. What is happening? Your original cooling system is having trouble. It always did. I fixed it every week for 8 years. Now you will need to fix it yourself. Ki-won packed his tools. The manuals are in the station database. Good luck. He walked past Glorth without another word. Behind him, the station alarms grew louder. At the Galactic Medical Institute, Dr. Yun-ji sealed the last of her research containers. 17 years of work. Cures for diseases that killed millions. All of it going back to Earth. Her assistant, an alien named Plix with too many arms, watched sadly. Doctor, please reconsider. The plague affecting the Velnari. We are so close to a cure. Yunji paused. She had liked Plix. He had never treated her as inferior. We are not close, Plix. We have the cure. I completed it last month. Then please, share it before you go. People are dying. People have always been dying, Yunji said quietly. When human colonists died from Krenth fever, did the council rush to help? No. They said we should have been more careful. When the plague hit human miners on Orion 4, did anyone send aid? No. They said it was not their concern. I sent aid, Plix said. I tried. Yunji's expression softened. You did, and I will remember that. She pulled out a data chip. This contains the Foundation research. Not the cure, but enough to point you in the right direction. It is more than the Council gave us. Plix took the chip with trembling hands. Thank you, Doctor. Thank the humans who died learning what I now know, Yunji replied. And next time your people gather, remember who helped you and who walked away. There is a reason for both. Admiral Tae Yang stood on the bridge of the flagship Incheon. Around him, the entire human defense fleet was gathering. Ships that had patrolled alien borders for decades were coming home. Sir, we are receiving distress calls from the Krenth-Velnari border. Without our peacekeepers, both sides are moving into disputed territory. Not our concern, Tae Yang said. Sir, civilians are in the crossfire zone. The Admiral was quiet for a moment. He thought of the human peacekeepers who had died keeping those two species from killing each other. He thought of how the Council had called those deaths acceptable losses. Send an automated message. Tell them to evacuate civilians immediately. Tell them we warned them this would happen. Then we continue to Earth. Yes, sir. Reporter Nari sat in front of her camera, interviewing humans as they returned home. An engineer named Sang Woo told her about maintaining life support for a station that paid him less than alien janitors. A teacher named Hana described schools where human children were seated in the back and called slow by alien instructors who could barely read. A merchant captain named Bo-Ra cried while explaining how alien customs officials would delay human ships for weeks over minor paperwork while waving alien vessels through. They took our goods and our time and gave us nothing but contempt. Nari broadcast every story. The galaxy was watching, though most still thought it was temporary, humans being dramatic. They would be back when they got hungry or scared. On Earth, President Subin addressed the world. Our people are coming home. Every human who wants to return will be welcomed. We are closing our borders. From this day forward, no alien ship may enter human space without explicit permission. No alien may land on human worlds. We are done. The message was broadcast to the galaxy. Still, many aliens laughed. Humans were isolating themselves, cutting themselves off from galactic trade and knowledge. It was suicide. Director Hyun-sik watched the final transport leave alien space. 6 months of careful extraction. Not a single human left behind. Sir, the last ship just crossed into human territory, Ji-won reported. Seal the border, Hyun-sik ordered. Across human space, defense stations powered up. Automated warning beacons activated. The message was simple and clear in 200 languages. You are entering human territory. Turn back. This is your only warning. On Station Tarnak 7, the cooling system failed completely. Half the station had to be evacuated. Glorth spent 3 days trying to fix what Kiwan had maintained in minutes. Eventually, he had to hire engineers from another species at 10 times the cost. they were not as good. At the Galactic Medical Institute, the Velnari plague spread faster. Without Dr. Eunji and her team, research crawled. Plix worked desperately with the data chip she had left, but it would take years to reach the same conclusions. People died while they worked. The Krenth-Velnari border erupted into full conflict within days. Without human peacekeepers, there was no neutral party to monitor the ceasefire. Each side accused the other of violations. Civilian casualties mounted. High Arbiter Velthar received daily reports of the chaos. Still, he remained confident. Humans need the galaxy. They will return when they realize their mistake. But weeks became months, and no humans returned. Trade networks that humans had maintained began to collapse. Stations started failing. Wars escalated. And from Earth, there was only silence. Counselor Thrix sent a private message to Ambassador Daehyun. "Please, talk to us. Let us find a solution." Daehyun read the message in his small apartment on Earth. He was retired now, growing tomatoes, spending time with his daughter, sleeping peacefully for the first time in 30 years. He deleted the message without responding. Captain Yuna trained the new defense forces, young humans who had never served the Council. They asked her what aliens were like. "They are like anyone," she said. "Some good, some bad. But they forgot something important." "What is that, Captain?" "They forgot that respect is not a gift. It is earned. And when you lose it, getting it back is very, very expensive." 2 years after the humans left, Governor Plax stood in the control center of Outpost Centauri 9 and watched his world die. The massive station had been home to 8 million beings. Now the reactor was failing, and he had no idea how to stop it. "How long?" he asked his chief engineer. The engineer, a four-armed Krenth named Vix, shook his head. "Without the human maintenance routines, maybe 6 hours, maybe less. The reactor was designed by the Velnari 2 centuries ago, but humans modified it. Now it is failing in ways we do not understand." "We have the original plans," Plax said desperately. "The original design would have exploded 50 years ago," Vix replied. "Humans were fixing problems the Velnari never knew existed. I found maintenance logs. They repaired critical flaws every single day. Every day, Governor, for 50 years. Plax felt sick. "Begin evacuation. How many ships do we have?" "Not enough. Not even close." The evacuation was chaos. Ships designed to carry hundreds were packed with thousands. Many would not escape in time. Plax watched from the last transport as Centauri 9 grew bright, then brighter. The reactor went critical. 800,000 beings died in the explosion. It was the worst disaster in galactic history. The Council held an emergency session. They needed someone to blame. High Arbiter Velthar pointed at the empty human platform. "This is humanity's fault. They sabotaged our systems before they left. It is terrorism." But Counselor Thrix had been investigating. He had read the maintenance logs. He had talked to engineers who had worked with humans. He knew the truth. "No one sabotaged anything," Thrix said quietly. "Humans simply stopped fixing our mistakes. Centauri 9 failed because we built it wrong and never noticed. Humans noticed. They fixed it. Every day for 50 years they fixed it. And we never thanked them. We never even knew." "Lies," Velthar hissed. But his voice was weak. The plague was getting worse. His own doctors had told him he had months to live. The cure was so close, they said. Dr. Yunji had been so close, if only she had stayed. Across the galaxy, systems were failing. Trade routes established by human merchants collapsed because no other species could navigate the complex web of tariffs and traditions. Humans had been the universal translators of commerce, trusted by all sides. Without them, old rivalries surfaced. Wars that had been quiet for decades exploded into violence. Human peacekeepers had kept borders stable. They had mediated disputes. They had died so aliens could talk instead of fight. Now there was no one to trust. The Krenth accused Velnari of cheating. The Velnari accused Krenth of lying. Both were probably right. On Earth, former Ambassador Daehyun received visitors. A delegation of alien ambassadors had come to human borders and begged for an audience. They were not allowed past the defense perimeter, but they were allowed to speak via hologram. "Ambassador, please," one of them pleaded. "Return to the council. Help us restore order." Daehyun sat in his garden. He was trimming his tomato plants. He did not stop working as they talked. "I am retired," he said simply. "But the galaxy needs you, needs humanity." The galaxy should have thought of that before. "People are dying." Daehyun set down his shears. He looked at them with eyes that had seen too much. People were always dying. When human colonists needed help, where was the council? When human children were discriminated against in council schools, who helped them? When human soldiers died in your wars, did you even learn their names? Silence. "I thought not," Daehyun said. "You called us useful primitives. You laughed when we asked for respect. You took everything we gave and offered nothing in return. Now you are upset that we stopped giving?" "We made mistakes," one ambassador admitted. "Yes, you did. And now you are learning what those mistakes cost." The holograms faded. The ambassadors returned to the council with nothing. High Arbiter Velthar received their report and grew furious. If humans would not return willingly, perhaps they needed encouragement. He sent warships to human borders, not to attack, just to intimidate. Show the humans what they were missing. Remind them of the council's power. Admiral Tae Yang watched the alien fleet approach human space. They stopped at the border, weapons powered but not locked. It was a show of force. "Should we power weapons, sir?" his tactical officer asked. "No need," Tae Yang said calmly. "Send them a message. Tell them they are in violation of our border. They have 1 hour to leave or we will remove them." The alien commander laughed. "Remove them? With what?" Humanity's fleet was small compared to the Council's combined might. But then human stealth ships appeared from nowhere. Weapons locked, advanced targeting systems that aliens had never seen. The human defense grid powered up, revealing capabilities the Council never knew humans possessed. "You have 59 minutes, Tae Yang's message said. The alien fleet left in 58. Velthar was learning what many had forgotten. Humans had been part of the galaxy for 73 years. They had learned. They had adapted. They had built their own technology, mixing alien knowledge with human innovation, and they had been very, very quiet about it. While aliens laughed at useful primitives, those primitives had been studying. Learning. Preparing. Now the Council realized that humanity had never needed their protection. Humans had stayed because they believed in cooperation, in peace, in the dream of species working together. But dreams end when you wake up. Reporter Nari continued her documentary. She interviewed Earth citizens about their feelings. Most felt relief. Some felt guilt. A few felt vindication. "Do you feel bad for them?" she asked a young woman named Yuna, no relation to the captain. "I feel bad for the civilians who are suffering," Yuna said. "But the council leaders? No. They had every chance to change. They chose not to. This is not our fault." Nari's final question was simple. "Will we ever go back?" President Subin answered in a public address. "If the galaxy wants humanity's help, they know where to find us. But we will never again accept disrespect. We will never again be junior members. We will never again sacrifice our people for those who despise us. If they want us back, they will meet our terms, all of them, or they will learn to survive without us." The message was clear. Humanity was done begging for respect. In the council chambers, with half the platforms empty because travel was too dangerous, Velthar coughed blood into a cloth. The plague was winning, his empire was fracturing, his legacy was dying with him. Counselor Thrix approached him after the session. "You should contact them personally. Admit we were wrong." "Never," Velthar said weakly. "I am High Arbiter of the Velnari Empire. I do not beg forgiveness from primitives." "Then you will die," Thrix said, "and millions will die with you. Is your pride worth that?" Velthar did not answer. But that night, alone in his chambers, he thought about what Thrix had said. He thought about the cure that Dr. Yunji possessed. He thought about his grandchildren who would inherit an empire in ruins. Pride was expensive. The question was whether it was worth the price. The war started on a Tuesday. Later, no one could remember why. The Krenth claimed the Velnari fired first. The Velnari claimed the Krenth invaded their space. Both were probably lying. What mattered was that without human peacekeepers, there was no one both sides trusted to investigate. Without human mediators, there was no one to negotiate. Within days, the border skirmish became a full war. Counselor Thrix tried to organize a peace conference. Nobody came. Each side demanded the other accept blame first. Each side wanted different mediators. Each side suspected betrayal. It had been so easy when humans did it. They came in, listened to both sides, found the truth somewhere in the middle, and convinced everyone to compromise. They died doing it sometimes, but they kept doing it. Now they were gone, and the galaxy remembered why peace was so hard. The war spread. Old alliances collapsed. Species that had been neutral for centuries chose sides. Trade stopped completely. Refugee ships filled the space lanes, fleeing the violence. And still more systems failed. Research stations went dark. Nobody could solve the complex problems that humans had handled so easily. Technology that had worked for decades suddenly broke in mysterious ways. Without humans to maintain and modify it, the infrastructure of galactic civilization was crumbling. On Earth, Director Hyun Sik monitored the situation. His intelligence network still had eyes in alien space. What he saw disturbed him. "Sir, the casualty estimates are staggering," his assistant reported. "Over 2 billion dead in the war zones. Another billion from infrastructure failures. Famine is spreading across 3 sectors because agricultural systems are failing." Hyunsik was silent. He had wanted the council to learn a lesson. He had not wanted this. "Should we inform the president?" his assistant asked quietly. "Yes. She needs to know." President Subin read the reports in her office. The numbers were horrific. She thought about her own children, safe on Earth. She thought about alien children dying because their leaders had been too proud to show respect. "What are our people saying?" she asked her advisors. "The older generation feels guilty. They remember working with aliens, having alien friends. The younger generation says it is not our problem." There was a knock on her door. To her surprise, former Ambassador Dae Hyun stood there. She had not seen him in person for over a year. "Mr. Ambassador," she said, "please come in." Dae Hyun entered, looking older than she remembered. "Madame President, I have received a message, a private one, from High Arbiter Velthar." "What does he want?" "Everything. He admits we were right. He accepts all our terms. He begs for the plague cure. He is dying, Madame President. So are millions of his people." Subin sat down heavily. "What do you think we should do?" "I don't know," Dae Hyun admitted. "Part of me says let them burn. They earned this. They took everything we gave and gave nothing back. Why should we help them now? And the other part? The other part remembers that we left because we respected ourselves, not because we hated them. If we let millions die when we can save them, are we any better than they were?" President Subin stood and walked to her window. She could see the lights of the city below. Peaceful, safe, prosperous. Everything the galaxy was not. If we help them, what message does that send? She asked. That they can abuse us and we will come running back? If we help them on our terms, we show that we are strong enough to be merciful, Dae-hyun countered. But only on our terms, never again as subordinates. There was another perspective to consider. Commander Jin-woo, leader of Earth's new defense forces, requested an audience. He represented the generation that had grown up after the withdrawal. Madam President, with respect, my generation did not suffer under the Council. We did not experience their disrespect. But we heard the stories. We saw our parents come home broken and bitter. Why should we risk that again? Because people are dying, Subin said. People died when the Council ignored our pleas for help, Jin-woo replied. Where was their mercy then? It was a fair question. Subin had no good answer. Commander, what would you do? She asked. Jin-woo thought carefully. I would help, but I would make them pay, not in money, in dignity. I would make every alien leader publicly admit they were wrong. I would make them teach their children what they did to us. I would make sure this never happens again. That is harsh. They were harsher to us, for 73 years. President Subin called a cabinet meeting. The debate lasted for hours. Some argued for complete isolation. Others argued for conditional help. A few even suggested returning to the council, though they were quickly shouted down. Finally, Subin made her decision. We will negotiate, but we do it on our terms, in our space, with our security. If they want our help badly enough, they will come to us, and they will accept every condition we set. She drafted a message to the Galactic Council. It was simple and direct. Humanity will consider re-engagement under the following conditions. First, all species must formally apologize for their treatment of humanity. These apologies will be entered into official galactic record. Second, humanity will hold equal status with full voting rights and veto power. Third, reparations will be paid for 73 years of exploitation. Fourth, any future requests for human assistance will be negotiated as contracts between equals, not obligations of a subordinate. If these terms are acceptable, send representatives to neutral coordinates that we will provide. If not, do not contact us again. The message was sent. Then Earth waited. In the council chambers, chaos erupted. Some species rejected the terms immediately. We will never apologize to primitives. Others were desperate. We have no choice. Accept everything. We are dying. Velthar listened to the arguments. He was barely conscious now. The plague had ravaged his body. His personal doctor had told him this morning he had days left, maybe hours. He thought about his long life, about his empire, about his certainty that the Velnari were superior to all others, about how he had mocked the humans and their earnest requests for respect. He thought about his grandchildren, who would inherit nothing but war and plague and collapse if something did not change. Counselor Thrix approached him. High Arbiter, we must accept their terms. You would have me humiliate myself? Velthar whispered. I would have you save your people, Thrix replied. Pride is a luxury. We can no longer afford it. Velthar closed his eyes. He saw Ambassador Dae-hyun's face on that last day, the dignity in his posture as he walked away, the quiet strength in his refusal to accept disrespect any longer. Humans had been right, and he had been wrong. Send the message, Velthar said. Accept all terms. All of them. And Thrix, prepare a personal message to Ambassador Dae-hyun. If I am going to apologize, I will do it properly. The message went out to Earth. The Council accepted humanity's terms, all of them. Without reservation, they were ready to negotiate. On Earth, President Subin read the acceptance and allowed herself a small smile. Then she called Ambassador Dae-hyun. Mr. Ambassador, I need you to come out of retirement. One more time, can you do that? Dae-hyun looked at his tomato plants, at his peaceful garden, at the life he had built away from the chaos of galactic politics. Then he thought about the children dying from the plague, about the refugees fleeing war, about the chance to build something better than what came before. "Yes, Madame President," he said. "I can do that, but this time, we do it right." The negotiation station was called Haven 7. It was an old human mining facility on an asteroid at the edge of human space. Ambassador Dae-hyun had chosen it carefully. It was neutral territory, but the security was entirely human. The message was clear. This would happen on humanity's terms, or not at all. Captain Yuna commanded the security detail. She had aged in the 5 years since the walkout, but her eyes were still sharp. She watched as the alien delegation's ships approached. "Sir, they are requesting permission to dock," her communications officer reported. "Permission granted," Yuna replied. "But scan them thoroughly. Anyone carrying weapons gets turned away." The alien delegation included representatives from 40 species. Counselor Thrix led them. He looked older, too, worn down by years of crisis. Behind him came the others, some nervous, some angry, all desperate. High Arbiter Velthar appeared only by hologram. He was too sick to travel. The plague had reduced him to a shadow of his former self, but he insisted on being present. Ambassador Dae-hyun waited in the main conference room. It was smaller than the council chambers, with simple furniture and basic amenities. No floating platforms, no grand displays of power, just a table and chairs. When the alien delegation entered, many looked shocked at the simplicity. They were used to grandeur. This felt like being called to a principal's office. Dae-hyun did not stand. "Please sit." They sat. Thrix took the lead. "Ambassador Dae-hyun, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I want to thank you for agreeing to this meeting." "I did not agree to meet with the Council," Dae-hyun corrected. "The Council ceased to have authority over humanity 5 years ago. I agreed to hear what you have to say as independent parties seeking humanity's assistance." The distinction was important. The power dynamic had shifted. President Subin appeared via hologram from Earth. "I am President Subin of the United Human Nations. I will be overseeing these negotiations. Let me be clear about something from the start. Humanity does not need you. We are safe, prosperous, and at peace. This meeting is not about what we can gain. It is about whether you are willing to meet the price for what you need." One of the alien delegates, a proud warrior species called the Draxan, stood angrily. "You dare speak to us this way? We could destroy your worlds." Captain Yuna's hand moved to her weapon, but President Subin simply smiled. "You could try, but your fleets are scattered across a dozen war zones. Your infrastructure is failing. Your people are starving and sick. Meanwhile, we have had 5 years to prepare our defenses. We have studied your technology and improved on it. We have built weapons you have never seen. So please try to threaten us. See what happens." The Draxan sat down, chastened. "Now," President Subin continued, "shall we discuss terms?" Dae-hyun pulled up the list. "First item, formal apologies. Every species represented here must formally apologize for their treatment of humanity during our time on the Council. These apologies will be specific, detailed, and entered into permanent galactic record." "That is humiliating," someone muttered. "Yes," Dae-hyun agreed. "It is, but not as humiliating as being called useful primitives for 73 years. Counselor Thrix stood. "I will go first." He looked directly at Dae-hyun. "On behalf of the Krenth Collective, I apologize to humanity. We dismissed your contributions. We mocked your requests for equality. We treated you as servants rather than partners. We took your labor, your lives, and your knowledge and gave nothing in return. This was wrong. We were wrong. We are sorry." There was silence. Then, slowly, others stood. One by one, representatives apologized. Some sounded genuine, others sounded forced. But they all said the words. Finally, Velthar's hologram flickered. His voice was weak but clear. I am High Arbiter Velthar of the Velnari Empire. I am dying because of my own arrogance. I called you primitives. I laughed at your requests for respect. I sent your children to die in wars while denying you any voice in whether those wars should be fought. I was wrong. Not just mistaken. Wrong. Morally, ethically, completely wrong. If there is any justice in this universe, my legacy will be remembered as the fool who drove away the one species that could have saved us. I apologize to humanity. I apologize to my own people for my failure. And I beg, not as a high arbiter, but as a dying old fool, for your mercy. The room was silent. Even the angry delegates looked moved. Velthar had been the embodiment of council arrogance. To hear him broken like this was stunning. Dae-hyun felt something loosen in his chest. He had carried anger for so long. Now, hearing Velthar's words, he felt it begin to fade. Apologies recorded and accepted, he said quietly. Second item. Humanity will hold full council membership with equal voting rights and veto power over any measure that affects human interests. This is non-negotiable. Agreed, Thrick said immediately. Others nodded. Third item, reparations. You will pay for 73 years of exploitation. The amount will be calculated based on the value humans provided minus what we received in return. We estimate this at approximately 8 trillion galactic credits. There were gasps. It was an enormous sum. We do not have that much, one delegate protested. Then you will pay it over time, President Subin said. With interest. Consider it tuition for the lesson you learned. Fourth item, Dae-hyun continued. Any future request for human assistance will be negotiated as a contract between equals. We will provide our services. You will pay fair value. We will never again accept obligations simply because you demand them. These terms are harsh, a delegate said. Yes, Dae-hyun agreed, but fair. You created this situation. These are the consequences. Councillor Thrix looked at his fellow delegates. We accept all terms. Does anyone object? No one spoke. Even the Draxan representative stayed silent. Then we have an agreement, President Subin said. Dr. Yunji will share the plague cure immediately. Human engineers will assess infrastructure failures and provide repair schedules for a fee. Human mediators will be made available to help end the wars as paid consultants. But understand this, we are not returning as subordinates. We are engaging as equals. If you ever forget that, we will walk away again. And next time, we will not come back. Dr. Yunji entered the room, carrying a data storage device. She handed it to Thrix. The complete cure for the Velnari plague. It will take 3 months to manufacture enough for everyone. Start with the sickest patients. Thrix took it with trembling hands. Thank you, Doctor. How many lives will this save? Millions, Yunji said. If you had treated us with respect 5 years ago, you could have saved them all. It was a hard truth, but it needed to be said. Over the following months, the new relationship took shape. Human engineers returned to alien space, but now they were paid. Properly paid, respected, thanked for their work. Human mediators helped negotiate an end to the Krenth-Velnari War. Both sides were exhausted and grateful for someone they could trust. The plague cure was distributed. High Arbiter Velthar survived, though he was never the same. He spent his remaining years ensuring that every Velnari child learned about the cost of arrogance. The Galactic Charter was rewritten. Humanity held permanent council seats. No species could be designated as junior members. All species had equal rights. It was not perfect. Old prejudices died slowly. Some aliens still resented humanity's new status, but they kept their resentment quiet. They remembered what happened when they did not. 5 years after the re-engagement, Ambassador Dae-hyun attended a council session. It was his last before final retirement. He was old now, ready to return to his garden permanently. Councillor Thrix, now council chairman, asked him to speak. Dae-hyun stood at the human platform. Not below others, not above, equal. "I want to tell you a story," he began. 73 years ago, humanity joined this council with hope. We believed in cooperation, in peace among the stars. We gave everything to make that dream real. But you did not see us as partners. You saw us as tools, useful primitives, so we left. Not because we hated you, but because we respected ourselves. He paused, looking around the chamber. Some of you still resent us. You think we were arrogant to demand respect. But respect is not arrogance. It is a basic right. We did not ask for dominance. We asked for equality. When you refused, we walked away, and the galaxy burned. But here we are again, working together, as equals this time. We saved you because we chose to, not because you owned us. That is the difference. That is what you must never forget. Respect is not a gift, it is earned. And when you lose it, getting it back is expensive. You paid that price. We all did. Let us make sure the next generation never has to. The chamber was silent. Then Councillor Thrix began to applaud. Slowly others joined. The sound filled the chamber. Dae-hyun smiled and sat down. His work was done. 10 years later, a new generation of human ambassadors served on the council. Commander Jin Woo, now Ambassador Jin Woo, represented Earth. He had grown up hearing stories of the walkout. He understood why it had been necessary, but he also understood that his generation had a different task. Not to fight for respect, but to maintain it. To build on what had been won. Reporter Na Ri, now hosting the galaxy's most-watched news program, interviewed him. "Ambassador, do you think humanity made the right choice walking away?" Jin Woo smiled. "I think humanity made the only choice we could make, and still respect ourselves. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is walk away, and sometimes the most powerful thing you can do after that is return. But only on your own terms. Only as equals. That is the lesson the galaxy learned, and I hope they never forget it." The camera panned across the council chambers. Where once humans sat in the lowest platforms, they now sat equal with all others. The empty platform from the walkout had been preserved as a memorial, a reminder of the cost of arrogance. On the memorial plaque, words were written in every galactic language. Here sat humanity when they were not seen as equals. The empty platform remains to remind us, respect is not a gift to be granted. It is a right to be recognized. May we never forget what we lost when we forgot that truth. And the galaxy remembered.